Pudgy Penguins and the Pengu token are at an absolute pivotal point in their growth structure. Have we simply had just too much exciting action over the past month and we need a cool off period? Or are we just getting started for this comeback kid? Now, in this video, we're gonna dive into everything, what's been happening over the past month, a little bit more of a backstory to show you where the Pudgy Penguins ecosystem is, not only what's happening with the Pengu token, but their entire impressive ecosystem. And NFTs are starting to get a little bit more popularity again, so there's that. There's the massive IP, there's the whole Walmart thing, and a massive push in gaming, plus a lot more that we're going to be covering in this video, so you can get a better understanding of the entire Pudgy Penguins ecosystem, what they're actually doing behind the scenes, and where we're likely to see them go in the future. So not only are they already selling toys in Walmart, dominating meme culture on social media, crushing the unbelievably large sticker economy, plus they're making a massive move into gaming. While most NFT projects from their era are still stuck near floor prices, Pudgy Penguins is quietly building a cross-platform gaming experience. It's not just hype, it's powered by the real IP, real community, and real money earned. And whether you're a speculator, in the trenches, an NFT connoisseur, or a big fan of gaming, there's a massive opportunity coming up for everyone mentioned. All things began to change with Pudgy Penguins when Luca Net stepped in and got the community together and focused on storytelling and the IP rights getting into Pudgy Penguins. Luca understood the massive power of the Pudgy Penguins community, and instead of just being a niche thing with all the rich OG crypto guys getting their Bored Apes and CryptoPunks, now you had a community rallying upon each other to get actual real numbers that the traditional world cares about. So using his entrepreneurship mindset, he was actually able to negotiate deals over time and get into big stores like Walmart. Since then, they've gone on to also explode into stickers and other products as well. And this is getting the Web 2 audience into it. Whether it be kids or families or the general population, there's just so much more people and buying power when it comes to that versus your favorite crypto bros. So aside from getting Pudgies into Walmart and Target, they've built a meme engine on social media that crushes engagement. They're creating real world value beyond the NFT space. Brands like Coinbase, Binance US, OpenSea, and even Van Eck adopted Pudgy's social avatars, fueling even more mass exposure. And it doesn't stop there, they're getting into the massive multi-billion-dollar market of gaming. Pudgy Penguins has already had a successful launch of some games so far this year. For example, they launched Pengu Clash on the Ton ecosystem in May, and the numbers are amazing. Over 60,000 gamers rushed to the game in the first week, and Pengu Clash is a 1v1 turn-based battle game. Players control teams of cute penguins in quick mini-games such as darts, football, and bomber, and the gameplay focuses on skill and competition rather than play to win. Then they have their multiplayer minigame called Pudgy Party. This is expected to come out over the summer, but it's already popular on X with having almost 100,000 followers. The game itself will be available to all Pudgy Penguin holders with exclusive content and community input in its development. And I think one of the key takeaways here, instead of just using an IP that you have like Bored Apes and throwing in a random game that people can tap and play, Pudgy Penguins is instead creating a three-tiered ecosystem of the games that they're putting out and focusing on games that are actually fun, not trying to pump a specific gaming token. And that leads us into their next development, Pudgy World. This is the next evolution in gaming, which is a browser-based game powered by Ethereum's ZK Sync, designed to be fun and Web3 optional. And I think this day and age, with what we've seen in the market and gamers, it's really important to keep things Web3 optional. At the end of the day, gamers don't want to have to focus on microtransactions or fiddling with a wallet. They just want a fun game that's worth spending their time on. And I think Pudgy Penguins really understands that. And if you are a fan of watching gaming videos, we have a couple Pudgy gaming adventure videos, so make sure to check those in the description below. Now, let's get into some hard business truths that a lot of projects forgot about in 2021 in that mania hype cycle, and where Pudgy Penguins is focusing differently. So if you can remember back to 2021, it didn't really matter what the business was. Maybe there was a roadmap, but it was all about the current hype cycle and trying to flip that NFT or get it to the highest valuation possible. However, now it's 4 or 5 years later, and the big focus is on what is business, what makes the traditional or Web 2 world work, and that is cash flow. And unlike a lot of other NFT projects that maybe they did some good things with the community and their IP, they didn't really focus on creating that massive value in cash flow that Web2 and big businesses focus on. That gets even more attention in the project, and not only that, gets runway for them to grow even further. And just speaking about growing even further, what's beautiful about this, they have focused on cash flow, they are building games, they have IP, they're in Walmart, but also they have the meme ability. And as we know in crypto, that is so huge. So you have the OG like Dogecoin or last cycle like Shiba, and then of course we've seen so many memes since then, but a lot of them have staying power for the mememic qualities, and Pudgy Penguins does that really well. For their cash flow, in terms of toys, they've sold millions of dollars worth of plushies and action figures in Walmart and Amazon. That's IP monetization at scale, and they're not just throwing it into silly campaigns, they're actually building big things, now putting tons of money into that gaming ecosystem. They're also focusing on licensing, building up their media brand. Think memes, merch, animation, stickers, all without overexposing the NFT, the form of long-term brand value building that you want to see. Every toy comes with a QR code, and it's not just a gimmick, it's an acquisition funnel for the Pudgy world. Now let's switch the focus back to the Pengu token itself. If you watch our video that we put out around Christmas time, we talked about the hype cycle that was the Pengu token, and it seemed like just everyone wanted it, and it was in a massive hype cycle. So in that video, what we said is we don't know when it'll be, but eventually we will have a correction and the price will come down to more respectable levels. Now, we didn't realize how quickly we would get crushed in January, February, but by April, the project was absolutely obliterated when it came to price. But where there's pain in the markets, when there's actual true IP, that is where the opportunities shine. So hopefully you watched that video in December and you were there DCAing in March, April, and May, because if you did, you are sitting so happy now with over a 10x. But I guess the question is, currently sitting at a 2 billion market cap. Sure, you wish you got in at 200 mil like a lot of people, but is the project gonna correct, or are we simply going to the moon from here? Now, of course, we don't have the exact answer for that, but we're gonna look at some factors on what's happening behind the scenes. First, back in March, news of the proposed Pengu ETF flipped the narrative. The ETF would hold mostly Pengu tokens and Pudgy NFTs. And since that buzz, you've seen the token continue to soar. But it's not just speculation. This token is built to fuel Pudgy's gaming commerce, and even potentially some governance on their L2 chain. So at the time of recording, the Pengu token is currently sitting at 2.67 billion. And if we want to look at the other major memes from last cycle, we've got things like Pepe, which is currently at 5, we've got Shiba Inu, which is currently 8, and we've got Dogecoin at 35 billion. But if you were around last cycle, yes, things did go crazy, and there was a lot of other memes that quickly got forgotten, like you see in the trenches. But the major players stayed in the top 50, and I think those are the ones to focus on because they have community, they have some type of IP, and they have staying power. And if you compare it to the hype of last cycle, these evaluations were so much higher. So now at the end of the day, we don't know if the market is going to crash tomorrow and if things will off, or if this is just the beginning. But I think Pudgy Penguins, given they're doing so much more than all the other projects, whether it be in terms of their IP, building out a massive cash flow business, selling real and digital products that people actually care about, and then going into the massive gaming ecosystem where they're clearly showing they know what they're doing with their roadmap, starting small and then building to something big that people care about and that can play without needing to worry about all those Web3 integrations and can just have fun doing something they love. So whether you're a mobile gamer, casual player, or just curious about Web3, Pudgy offers multiple on-ramps from Pudgy Party to practical toys that unlock the digital experience. The Pengu token adds a layer of ownership and reward, giving gamers a stake in the ecosystem's growth. And unlike many crypto games, Pudgy has the brand that already resonates with millions globally. It's not a polished AAA title yet, but it's not in the dark either. For gamers seeking fun-first gameplay with real-world potential and upside, Pudgy Penguins is one of the few NFT projects that are genuinely worth watching in 2025. Now, if you're new here, first off, welcome to the Funjible Games community. We hope you found value in this video, but we are a Web3 and traditional gaming platform where we do deep dives on all things gaming as well as big trending stories like we've done here with this Pengu video. But we're also friends with so many of the Web3 gaming founders, so we often bring them on for interviews to give you the most up-to-the-minute information and Easter eggs that you can find out before anyone else. So if this is your first time here and you haven't already, make sure you subscribe, as well as heading over to our dedicated website, fungible.games, where we have an entire database of all things gaming waiting for you.